Hello friends, I'm here today to talk about development and peace, and with me I have Jason Cegayle, who is the interim animator for development peace in Manitoba and northwestern Ontario. He's interim as he's replacing Janelle, who had the blessing of a child, and so she's on maternity leave. And so this morning what I'd like to do is to ask Jason some questions about development and peace. It's always good to know more about it, myself included, to know more about it. And so Jason is the animator, and in the territory that I described, he works with parish development and peace committees, people involved, lay people involved at various levels to just bring forth the knowledge of development and peace and its work. And its work for people in our world who really need our solidarity before anything else. He also then, of course, reaches out to pastors. He works with the diocesan pastoral offices in Winnipeg, in Saint-Boniface, in Thunder Bay. And so he's got a wealth of information and experience. And I'd just like to interview him this morning and just get to know a whole lot more about development and peace. So, Jason, good morning.
Good morning, Monsignor.
Who are we as Development and Peace? Mm-hmm. Can you describe that organization, please?
Mm-hmm. For sure. So you may have heard of Development and Peace in your parishes. You might have heard of Development and Peace, whether it might be at your school, or you might have seen a poster. But Development and Peace is the social justice organization of the Catholic Church in Canada and member of Caritas Internationalis. And Development and Peace was first founded in 1967. And the work of development and peace continues on today. The work of development and peace is quite large. However, one of the greatest things that we do for development and peace is really working for our partners in the Global South, supporting our partners in the Global South. So as development and peace, we've worked with, and we still continue to work with other partner organizations in the Global South, such as in Latin America, in Asia, in the Middle East, and in Africa as well. Mm-hmm. And development and peace, we work towards the preferential option for the poor, and as well as working with different grassroots organizations that put in place projects that value Catholic social teaching, such as subsidiarity, the preferential option for the poor, the care for a common home, the dignity of the human person. And these projects really work in order to dismantle oppressive economic, societal, and governmental systems that oppress them, all in the spirit of global solidarity. Development and peace has three main pillars of function. The first function is education. Development and peace works very closely with the schools, different communities, the different parishes and campuses to really educate Canadians a lot more about what is happening in the Global South and what Development and Peace is doing to support the work of our partners. Development and Peace also works very closely with advocacy. That is our second pillar of function, where we work very closely with Canadians after we've educated them to really put pressure on the Canadian government to really value international relations that really affect our partners in the Global South. Lastly, Development and Peace works very closely to be able to do fundraising. So we have different campaigns, notably our Share Lent campaign, which we share funds through education, through prayer, and really being able to collect funds for our partners in the Global South. So overall, there's a beautiful verse that I think englobes very much the work of development and peace, and I would like to share that with all of you today. So as Catholic Christians, we're all called to respond in the way of Christ, in responding to the problems of the world. And one of the beautiful verses that really englobe the work of development and peace comes from Luke chapter 4, verse 18. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recover of sight to the blind, and let the oppressed go free. I personally find that the scripture englobes development and peace because we're all called to respond to that call, to be aware of our privileges, but as well as to be able to help those who do not have as much privilege to get as much dignity as they are created in the image of God.
That's true. That's very true. Jason, I noticed that this year the theme, and every year you have a theme that focuses your reflection and your education and your action, that the theme this year is Planet and People First. Can you talk to me a little bit about what that all encompasses?
For sure. I'm very excited for this year's campaign for development and peace. For those of you who are probably not very aware of how development and peace functions, each year we have a different campaign. And this year, as you mentioned, this year's campaign is called People and Planet First. Again, I'm very excited for this campaign because it englobes a lot of Catholic social teaching that we've highlighted in the past campaigns. If you look behind us right now, we have this beautiful banner from our past campaign, which is called For Our Common Home, which we talked a lot about Laudato Si, Pope Francis's encyclical. We talked a lot about the environment, the rights of indigenous peoples, etc., notably highlighting our partners in Brazil. And this year we have a lot of themes that are very similar that are existent in this year's campaign for People and Planet First. So when we think People and Planet First, we really think about the relationship between us as human beings, what we do, and our impact on the earth, and vice versa. Currently, we live in a global climate crisis, a crisis that includes devastation that's happening to our planet, but as well as to people. We're all interconnected, and when one part, whether it's the humanity, humans, or the earth are suffering, we all suffer in a certain way. So this year we're highlighting the work of 2 countries in the global south. We're highlighting the work from our partners in Honduras and our partners in Cambodia. And this year, when we're focusing on our partners in the Honduras, we're really focusing on the land defenders, the indigenous peoples, the small family farmers that really know best as to how they can take care of their land and have ownership on their land as well. Many of these people do not have access to their land, have rights to their land. And Development and Peace is really working towards helping our partners in the Global South to be able to give these people the rights that they have to their land. So in particular, we'll be working with our partners with Caritas Choluteca. And Caritas Choluteca will be working with communities, will be working with parents, families, catechists in these small communities to be able to educate them and be able to let them become aware of their rights and ownership of their land, and for them to be able to have the right to the land and the policies that they need to be able to have access to it. Unfortunately, the context today is a lot of enterprises and organizations are unfortunately taking over their land, and these people do not have the voice that they need to be able to have access to it. So Development and Peace is working closely with our partners to be able to give them the access that they need to their land, therefore to be able to work very closely with these organizations and enterprises to be able to take care of their land, and as well as to give the people the autonomy and dignity that they deserve. When we talk about our partners in Cambodia, we'll be working very closely with Development and Partnership in Action, the DPA. And currently in Cambodia, there is a lot of illegal and legal deforestation. And when we think of deforestation, the trees are very important when it comes to our environment, and very important when it comes to people and what we use our trees for. Development and Partnership in Action, DPA, is working very closely with the communities in Cambodia to be able to give them the rights, to be able to give them the legal policies that they need to be able to have ownership over their land. Because unfortunately, just like in Cambodia, in the Honduras, there's a lot of deforestation, a lot of communities that are being taken advantage of in these situations. So we're working very closely with these organizations and giving them the autonomy and dignity that they deserve.
So Jason, you've been talking about how, enterprises, industry, companies, and often actually Canadian mining companies extracting the wealth of these countries, and forgetting about the rights and the interests of the people there. But how does that affect us here in Canada, and how then might it affect our thinking about how we, as consumers, how much we consume, what we consume, just how are we part of that whole system by which the riches of a country, of a people, are taken from them or leave their country and benefit us so much. How does that all, impact us, call us to action?
For sure. As Canadians, we have certain privileges, and we very much benefit off of the products that we consume, that people in the global south, unfortunately, have been living in horrible conditions to be able to produce things for us. So as Canadians, whatever we consume, whatever we do, has a huge impact because our world is very interconnected. So just a fact that I wanted to share with everyone today is that in Canada, Canada is home to approximately 75% of the world's mining companies. And this year, what we're really trying to do is to really put pressure on the Canadian government to put forward the due diligence law. So what is due diligence? Due diligence is the practice of reevaluating and investigating in all of the chain of production of companies to see if there are any human rights violations. In many companies today, there are still many human rights violations and allegations that are still taking place. And all of this is very connected with our partners in the global south because they are the ones that are also in danger of being part of these productions. And unfortunately, we are benefiting off of it as Canadians and as people in North America. So as I mentioned, Development and Peace has the action of advocacy. And we're working very closely with our Canadian government to be able to put forward the due diligence law. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but Development and Peace for Manitoba is really working towards having these informations available as to how Canadians can sign and make a petition to be able to put this forward for the Canadian government. So all of this is interconnected in the way and as to how we consume, in the way that the Canadian government will also put this forward, hopefully as a law, to hold enterprises and organizations reliable and to be able to investigate and remediate their chain of production to make sure that there is no human violation throughout production.
And so, I mean, that's a call to Catholics across Canada, well, people of goodwill across Canada. But how, let's say in our parishes, there's this diocese here and 87 parishes, how can the parishes in their parish life connect with this?
For sure. There's so many ways as to how members for Development and Peace can become more involved. So many different ways as to how parishioners, priests can also support parishioners to become more involved with Development and Peace and to really respond and learn more about Catholic social teaching and how our actions impact others. So Development and Peace is currently working right now on putting up our resources, our sign-up page, etc., to become volunteers or members of Development and Peace on the parish website.
Oh, okay.
So once all of that is put through, sometime this fall, parishioners will have access to all of these resources. We're also currently looking for parish reps, different people in the parishes that will be able to share with parishioners in their parish about the social justice, and as well as about the work that we're doing with Development and Peace. So if you have a passion for social justice and really making a change in our community and in the world, there will be information soon to see as to how you can become more involved.
Okay.
Parish reps, parishioners, priests can also invite me to come to their parish and to give a workshop about our campaign, to talk more about our campaign and to do some activities that Development and Peace does to educate parishioners about the work that we are doing. Lastly, priests can become involved with Development and Peace by inviting parish reps, myself, to be present at their PPC meeting, to share with their parish pastoral council about Development and Peace, and as to how Development and Peace can become more involved through education, through advocacy, and through fundraising.
Yeah, it really is developing a network of partners, of, in essence, friends of justice, friends of solidarity. And you're working very much at, fostering those networks in parishes across the diocese. How can people contact you? Like, how do they get hold of you to call upon your help or your information?
For sure. So there are different ways as to how parishioners can become in contact with me. My information will be shared at the end of this video, so feel free to contact me either by phone number or by email. Our office is located here at the Archdiocese of Saint-Boniface, the Archdiocesan Center. So there are many ways as to how you can become involved. One of the different ways that you can become involved is to host a movie night. Development and Peace has a bunch of resources, different documentaries, etc., that we can offer and play at your parish, and to really mobilize parishioners to be there, not only to watch a video, but to be involved with discussions afterwards, and to facilitate that education with parishioners. As I mentioned before, workshops are a wonderful way of getting me involved, and Development and Peace involved in your parish. So just send me an email. Feel free to phone me as well, and we'll be able to organize to have a presentation at your parish with parishioners, with students of any age, really, to be able to learn more about this year's campaign.
Okay.
I also encourage you that if you're a parishioner that is very passionate about Development and Peace, very passionate about social justice, or even want to start a social justice group inspired by Development and Peace, feel free to talk to your parish priest, and I would be more than happy to be available for that discussion as well.
Yeah, and so there's a responsibility or a call to participation, by the pastor, by the parish pastoral council as it's planning for the year, by a parish rep, in all sorts of ways to bring that to people's attention and greater understanding, and then moving forward in action of solidarity and of support for Development and Peace. I wish you the very, very best. I've known, of course, Development and Peace for many, many, many years. It began in the later 60s, early 70s to pick up speed, but it's been one of the, the strong lights, the guiding lights for Catholics in our country in terms of social justice, third world or developing world issues, and a lot of good work, a lot of good people in it.
Thank you, Monsignor, and thank you for your support as well, and thank you for the support of all the parishioners, the parish priests, and as well as yours, Your Grace, for supporting the work of Development and Peace. And we look forward to this year's launch of the campaign, and looking forward to more activities that Development and Peace will do in the parishes.
Okay, thank you very much, Jason.
Awesome. Thank you.